Good evening. Pinson Young is a free man tonight. The 52-year-old Indianapolis man was convicted last month of shooting and killing his minister after finding the reverend in bed with his wife. Today, Young was sentenced to 2 years probation for the death of the Reverend Benjamin Sims. Young has been in poor health. The judge says that was a major factor in handing down the suspended sentence. Detectives in Indiana and Illinois are comparing notes in the case of Larry Eiler. Eiler was charged last week with the brutal murder of a 16-year-old Chicago boy. But he's still a suspect in about 20 gay-related murders in Indiana and Illinois. Detectives say they're checking to see if they have enough evidence to charge Eiler in those other cases. You've heard the old cliche, the third time's a charm. Well, for the Space Shuttle Discovery, make that the fourth time. After 3 failed liftoff attempts, Discovery was launched successfully this morning. The shuttle crew has already launched 3 communication satellites. An elderly couple is dead tonight, victims of an explosion and fire in their home on the city's near southeast side. It happened shortly before 5 o'clock. Neighbors said they were relaxing. One thought he heard a hissing sound and then a loud explosion.
We ran in here and my wife says, "Oh my God," and the whole wall had fell over into our driveway. We could see fire starting up in the middle of the house. I couldn't believe it. I thought there was an airplane that fell out of the sky or something. I never dreamed.
Neighbors ran to the brick house, which was all but leveled by the blast, and tried to rescue the couple.
When I got up to the front, I couldn't go any further. The heat knocked me back. They were crying for us, oh my God, what has happened? They didn't know what happened. We did everything that we could for them.
We just couldn't get to them. We had to break open the window, and then all of a sudden we backed away and the roof came down and it almost got us too.
Firefighters could not get to the bodies because the fire had weakened the home's foundation. Gas company officials checked for possible leaks in the area. Neighbor Tim Mallow was literally devastated by what happened.
The thing that I'm having so much trouble with, these people were just at my parents' funeral last month, and I just got my dad out of the hospital today. But just hearing the voices, I just can't, get that out of my mind,
Officials are still at the scene investigating. At this hour, they do believe a gas leak was responsible for the explosion. The names of the victims have not yet been released. Coming up at 9 o'clock on 59 Headline News, the FBI says it has new evidence that links Alton Coleman to the murder of an Indianapolis man. Indiana and Illinois authorities are pooling resources in the Larry Eiler murder investigation. An Indianapolis man convicted of killing his minister got a suspended sentence today. And the Space Shuttle Discovery is finally in orbit tonight. Those stories and more, plus sports and weather, coming up at 9, right here on 59 Headline News. In Indiana, response to the choice of Geraldine Ferraro is definitely upbeat. Women represent about 52% of the U.S. population. And Democratic State Chairman John Livengood says they've been neglected by the major parties for too long. Livengood thinks Ferraro will lead many females to vote Democratic in November.
It seems to me that those people that talk about the women's vote as some kind of a special interest or minority vote are overlooking a sleeping giant out there.
Livengood feels a male-female national ticket will help his party's state ticket of Wayne Townsend and Ann Delaney. Delaney, who's Indiana's first female nominee for lieutenant governor, calls Ferraro's appointment historic.
It points out again the fact that the Democratic Party is the party of opportunity for people, and people who are qualified and articulate are going to be able to advance within this party regardless of gender, and I think that's a very positive development.
But pollster Brian Vargas says traditionally the vice president has not had much influence on the outcome of an election. Vargas says Mondale tabbed Ferraro because Mondale's campaign needed energy that Gary Hart could not have provided.
Hart is not noted as an exciting campaigner. Representative Ferraro is. And so there's a number of things there that kind of put some theater drama into the Democratic ticket, which I think is very important to them. After all, they are running against a former movie actor.
On the streets of Indianapolis, the mood of the people was generally supportive of Ferraro.
What do you have? The Thatcher in England. She's been quite a person. So yes, I'd say, why not pick a woman? After all, if it wasn't for a woman, we wouldn't be here.
Women, that's my style.
2 members of the Faith Assembly Church were found guilty of reckless homicide and child neglect in the death of their infant son. A Whitley County jury returned the verdict against Gary and Margaret Hall after deliberating 2 hours and 15 minutes. The couple contended that their religion prevents them from seeking conventional medical help. Their infant son died of pneumonia in February. Negotiations between Indianapolis public school teachers and the school board are at an impasse tonight. The two sides are meeting again, trying to iron out a new agreement. Teachers have been asking for a 10% raise. The school board is offering 2%. The teachers' current contract expires on August 31st. The nation's retailers say consumers seem to be in a spending mood this month. Number one Sears says its August sales are running 8% ahead of the same period last year. Kmart sales are up 11%. JCPenney reports a nearly 9% sales gain.
For the past 31 years, this building has housed a large fiberglass plant. Next door is Shelbyville's water treatment plant. And residents fear there is some link between contamination of their drinking water and the manufacture and dumping of fiberglass. Many residents say fiberglass and related chemicals were dumped in this landfill and at a nearby gravel pit for many years. The gravel pit was once an independent body of water. But due to environmental changes, it now feeds into the Little and Big Blue Rivers, the main source of water for Shelbyville. The problems began to surface in July when residents complained their drinking water tasted funny and smelled like rotten eggs.
It was just awful. People wouldn't even use it to cook with, you know. Like I said, I had to go out to friends and get well water and bring it home, you know, because it was so bad.
Samples showed the water contained phenols, a chemical used in the manufacture of fiberglass. In November, the city of Shelbyville purchased a device designed to remove concentrations of phenols from the water supply. And Mayor Dan Theobald says since that time, water quality in Shelbyville has improved.
Right now, the State Board of Health and all are telling us the water is a palatable water. There's no problem. There's nothing in there that would cause any sickness or anything like this. So we have to go on what they're saying, and that it is safe to drink. I'm drinking it, my family's drinking it, and many others are. So until that test comes back, which will be about another week, we'll just have to wait and see.
There are currently 2 independent studies underway on Shelbyville's water problems. Residents feel most of the dumping was done by Pittsburgh Plate and Glass, which owned and operated the fiberglass plant between 1953 and 1972. Once it's determined what the water problem is and who's responsible, Theobald says the final solution might be moving the city's water wells.
They're right next to a river. There's a pond over there that used to be a dump site. Where they're located used to be a landfill. Until those wells are moved, there's always a possibility of a problem.
Well, it should become partly cloudy later this afternoon and humid with a 20% chance of thunderstorms. Our high getting up to about 87 degrees. Then the forecast for tonight calling for a 30% chance of storms, the low down to 72. Tomorrow, once again, a 30% chance of thunderstorms. Tomorrow's high around 88 degrees. That's it for now from 59 Headline News. Gidget's up next. I'm Ken Owen. Have a great afternoon.